Watch a little bit of the telly tonight. There's a couple of shows, news programs I want to watch tonight. One comes on about 8 o'clock, and it's about it's about 13 past 7 right now in the evening. So there you go. So I'll catch you later, Robert, and have a nice week ahead. I'm usually up around 170, 175, so if you hear me, give me a call, okay? Yep, you take care of yourself, and we'll look for you again. And have a good night. Have a good night there. Mike Whiskey 0, November X-ray, W8 Hotel Bravo. Bye-bye.
Good evening, Mike.
Hey, John, how you doing? O-N-A-D-I. W8HB, how you doing?
Yeah, doing very good. Nice to hear you, Mike. Whiskey 8 Hotel Bravo. Oscar November 8 Echo India. You're nearly 10 over 9 with me, and lovely audio, over.
Yeah, thanks for that. I played around with a couple of the settings today, but not really anything extravagant. So it's just I didn't get on that much today. I was down here in the radio room earlier. I got the keyer, the memory keyer, the external memory keyer. I bought a new one there to go with this particular radio. So I programmed that and put the basics in that. I think there were 5 different positions. Your call sign 599. 73 2U, QTH, op name, etc. So did that. But other than that, I got out. I think the wife and I did a little bit of running this morning. But a buddy of mine came over this evening, and he makes homemade wine. So he called me up earlier today, and I went to high school with him, actually. Well, we went all the way through grade school, junior high, and high school. And he turned out to be an attorney, and great guy, still talking with him a lot, even though he's an attorney. I tease him all the time. And he says, "You like wine?" And I said, "Well, I drink a little bit, but I'm not that much of a wine drinker. I said, I'm more of a beer drinker." I said, "But my wife likes it." And she says, "Well, what kind she want?" He says, and he gave me this list of banana, Fanta, and strawberry, and this and that, and blackberry, and peach, and this and that. So I gave him a couple of flavors, and here he came about 5 o'clock this evening with a couple of bottles of homemade wine. Roger?
Yeah, Roger, and did you sample any of it, over?
No. No. We put supper on hold, and, I'm actually sitting here drinking a cup of coffee right now. We had dinner after he left, and or supper, dinner, whatever. And I told the wife, I said, I'm going to go down and get on for a little bit and see if anybody's on. And I said, I'm going to get me a cup of coffee. And she said, yeah, there you go. So sitting here sipping on a cup of black coffee. W8HB.
Yeah, Roger, O-N-A-T-I, Mike. Yeah, well, the best I can do here is I've just had a nice cup of black tea in a glass, over.
No, that's good. I never could get used to the black tea. I don't know what it is. Now, the wife, she drinks that. Now, iced tea, I like iced tea, and I can drink regular tea with the tea bags, like Lipton and some of the companies, but a little bit stronger. I don't like it real weak, over.
Oh, yeah, well, I always drink it very strong, and I drink my coffee also strong. And, sometimes if someone offers you a coffee and it's very weak, my mother used to call it, she says it's like dishwater, over.
Yeah, well, I got a story to tell you. My mom died young. She was only 62. Dad died at 57. So, I've outlived them both, praise God, by several years now, being where I'm at. I after Dad died, I used to go up, go over and do some odds and ends around the house for her, and my younger sister was still there at the house, and she would have this coffee sitting there, and remember the Mr. Coffee machines years ago, the you dump it in and put the filter in, and anyway, and she would have stuff sitting there probably from early morning or the day before, and she would microwave that coffee. And I said, Mom, what in the heck are you doing? I said, come on now. So she would go make a fresh pot of coffee, but that stuff was paint remover, paint thinner, Roger.
Yeah, I can well believe it. And, in the old days in the UK, you could have asked the Welsh station about it, but they had a tea maker, and it was called a Teasmade. And you'd set it for, let's say you got up in the morning at 7, you'd set it that as soon as you were up, the tea was ready over.
Yeah, they still sell some of those now. What I use now are the pods, you just drop the pod in, and I usually do the 12 ounce, and, it heats up the water and kicks out a cup of coffee. So my wife doesn't drink coffee, so I'm the only one in the house that drinks the coffee. So for years there, I drank instant. I never did go to the potted coffee because usually I'm a couple cups in the morning, and that's it. And I don't like leaving it sit around. So, but when the pods came out, I kind of jumped on that because that's a fresh. I usually drink 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day. Now, when I was in the fire service, we had a pot going 24/7. Over.
Oh yeah, I can well believe it with all those shifts and the whole lot. Yeah, well, I myself like the we call it a plunger, but I believe it's known as the French press. Over.
I'm aware of what you're talking about. I absolutely am aware. Yeah, there you go. So, that's one of my habits I can't give up. I used to smoke cigarettes years and years ago. I gave them up. I may occasionally have a cigar or, beer, drink a beer, but, coffee's probably my biggest, vice, I should say, over.
Yeah, Roger. Well, my wife is guilty of drinking. She's cutting down, but she has one of those big stainless steel thermos mugs, and she loves that. In fact, I got that idea from Wayne in VK, and I always joke with her. Do you have Wayne's mug with you? Over.
Yeah, when we go to Florida, we usually drive, and it's about an 18-hour drive. And, we'll take our time, and I'll get up at 3 or 4 in the morning, a.m., and hit the road, It's nice driving at nighttime, The older I get, it's harder to drive at night, but as long as I can do it, But anyway, we've got the small dogs, so we put them in a cage in the back of the vehicle, inside the vehicle, in the back seat area. It folds down. It's a Jeep, is what it is. And I'll usually have they call it a Stanley thermos. The Stanley's been around. It's what you're describing for years and years and years. And I'll make a pot of coffee before we leave and fill that thermos up, and what's left I'll drink it before I hit the road there. So it kind of keeps me going, and surprisingly it keeps it warm for several hours. Usually about the crack of dawn, we'll stop and get fuel and use the bathroom, and basically let the boys go out and use the bathroom. And other than that, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Stanley is the brand name that of the thermoses that have been around here for years. Over.
Yeah, Roger. Well, I think that's the one she has. It's kind of a light green sort of a color. Over.
Yep, that's it. It's chrome on the top, chrome on the bottom, and light green on the side. You know, my dad carried one of those in his lunchbox to work back when he worked in the factories. Coming up when I was a kid, I can remember going and picking him up at Westinghouse and General Motors when he worked at those factories, and he carried one of those in his lunchbox. And the top of the lid had a thing where you put the thermos up in there, and it stayed in place there, and you put your food in the other part. Roger?
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Well, that's it. Just one final thing on the coffee. Yeah, when I was young, coffee, real coffee was a real treat, and every so often my mother would turn on the electric percolator over.
Yeah, the percolator. Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, when I was a kid, a youngster, I'm talking 65, 70 years ago. I can remember as a young boy, the percolator perking the coffee and coming up into the glass thing on the top, and bubbling up there. Over?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it took a long time, but the coffee was beautiful. Okay, Mike, there's a few more I'm sure that want to speak with you, but you're a terrific signal. You're 10 and 15 over and really booming with that audio. Over.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. We'll keep playing with it and see what happens. And thanks for the tape there that you sent, the video. I couldn't open that for some reason. It would not let me open it. It kept telling me that it was trying to download it. Download in progress. It may take a while. Please stand by. Over.
Yeah, Roger, but you got it in the end. Anyway, I'm making another one now, but I'll put it on YouTube, so it'll be just a question of clicking and watching. Over.
Okay, thanks for that. I appreciate it. And we'll probably catch up with you again. I'll probably be on tomorrow night, and then we'll probably head back up to Lake Erie probably Tuesday morning for a couple of days. But we'll see you, and thanks again for all your help. I appreciate it. It was good talking to you and Wayne last night. 73 for tonight, okay?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mike. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Whiskey 8 Hotel Bravo, Oscar November 8 Echo India. Bye-bye from Belgium. Over.
Okay, have a good night. It's 28C here. I was going to tell you, 81% humidity. Absolutely terrible. I walked out this morning and opened the door. I walked out onto the front porch, and it was like I walked into a sauna. I thought, good Lord, you got to be kidding me. So, all right, catch you later. O-N-80I, W8HB. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Bye-bye.
Okay, we'll see you later. Yeah, was there a Mike 7? Yeah. Yeah, Fox 1 Queen Mary. Yeah, big signal. How you doing? W8 Hotel Bravo.